And next is Laurie from LaurieWrites.
Wow, there's a lot of you. I just want you to know my mom called backstage to say good luck and be strong. So if I cry, it's her fault. And number two, I'm not one, whatever they say about the mommy bloggers, let them. It's a powerful thing. Letter to my body, letter to my face. I keep getting stuck on this letter, this overwhelming idea of addressing my whole body. There are so many things I could focus on, but I keep coming back to my face. She has physical and psychic seniority over the extra 40 pounds, the wonky ankle, the aggravating stretch marks, especially so because there aren't even any babies to blame them on, just cheeseburgers. Writing Dear Face feels too awkward, so it's more of an address in her general direction. A thank you note for 37 years of overtime employment from that random genetic moment in the womb, about 4 weeks in, so I understand, where she didn't fully fuse, shooting out into the world with a split lip and palate. She, unlike any other part of this body, takes the really sharp turns, reads the road signs, finds the empty parking spaces, answers the tough questions. The arms and legs, they just fall in line. There are no photos before the day at 6 weeks of age when I went into surgery for the first time, when my hippie plastic surgeon in the American flag t-shirt sewed my lip together. Hospitals didn't take many, if any, photos of babies with facial differences then, although my mom said she wanted one. A nurse cried over her in her bed for my problems, enraging my 20-year-old mother. This was still, she said, her baby's face. But in the days before digital cameras and immediate records, before blogs and communities where people could inevitably find someone to share their story, and more importantly, before differences were more acceptable, it was better to wait until I was almost whole to start snapping. My face fends off strange looks when people notice the irregularities, the scar at the midline of the lip and nose, the asymmetry that little kids can see when they look up from beneath, and believe me, they do. She's responsible for eye contact, important when you want people to see you for the words you can say and the thoughts you think, and not focus on scar tissue from a genetic fluke that really is utterly manageable. It doesn't affect intellect or humor or skill of any sort. There is the matter of the loud snoring, which isn't fun, and the occasional whistle when I talk, which can be jarring because I can't do it in tune. It's not easy being at the front of the pack when you look different from the average in this looks-obsessed culture, according to the maddening scale that changes depending on the circumstance. Bars in college weren't so fun. Just like 5th grade, actually, except men weren't yet coming up to me then to ask for my best friend's number, because surely it was my life's dream to hook up my girls with unworthy partners. My face still watches and hears people call it a cleft lip, call it a facial difference, praying to God they don't call it a hair lip, because that still sounds so ugly. Beyond political correctness, it's just an old word, an unfortunate animal comparison that just didn't fit. My face became, all the same, a big talker, a hyperverbal life of the party. For not liking people looking at it much, I blabbed on and on from the time I could talk, encouraged by indulgent adults to share my thoughts, which didn't need any help coming out in the first place. As much as my face talked, though, it listened, paid attention, watched for the upcoming cars, for the people who didn't know any better, and for the many angels who've helped us along the road. She holds my head up every time I've turned my eyes to the ground to avoid a straightaway glance, for the times I've begged silently for someone to just look me in the eyes. She likes half and half and red wine and has an unhealthy preoccupation with olives and brie. She watches people, subconsciously I'm sure, and this is really true, trace fingers over their upper lip absent-mindedly while they're talking to me, something that makes me smile now after years of self-consciousness. She has trouble still sometimes, though, after all these years, working with my brain to respond, to defend, to fight back, or to clarify. When a friend recently asked if I knew that Joaquin Phoenix was rumored to have a cleft lip and put the subject out there, I should have felt more solid than I did in saying that it was just a thing. And more power to him for making it in a looks-driven industry, guarding his decision to talk about it or not. When the girl I worked with in college asked me why in the world I wasn't going to have more work done, I shouldn't have felt the need to see a plastic surgeon immediately. I should have said forcefully that I was tired of being cut into and reshaped, that anesthetic terrified me, that I needed to relax into myself and love, or at least not hate, the face I already had, thanks. Instead, I probably went in the back and smoked a couple of cigarettes and cried in the car on the way home. 19, you know. When my grad school client, schizoaffective, no social filter, but still, ran up to me and crying and said, "You have that thing on your face," I didn't really know what to say. I reached out to her and calmed her because I knew she didn't understand. Schizoaffective, no social filter, and was actually crying for me. But still, would everyone say it if they didn't know it wasn't okay? And when Connie said on the drive to Columbus that that young nurse who took care of her husband had that problem, people do the quotes thing, I don't know what. I had, so she married the first guy who asked, who turned out to be an alcoholic and wasn't that terrible, but still. She has this problem, the one you have, so she'd better marry the first guy who asked, right? I didn't. And when the man who loved me and whom I loved deeply years later told me that he wasn't sure at first that he could date me because he had a thing for symmetry and my face really didn't fit the bill, I maybe shouldn't have been so understanding. Should have gotten up off the couch, left the room, the apartment, and the state. But I didn't. I cared too much, knew he did too, and that he was trying really hard to put truth out there in his misguided way, and it was time to either grab hold of it or stay stuck. So I put it in the bag, I kept such things inside, and instead made it an important conversation that somehow built a tenuous bridge between him and me, and managed somehow not to hate what I looked like and what I had to offer, much. Say it with me, hair lip, and then throw it away, that ugly made-up label, along with the other stuff, the pounds and the wonky knee and the stretch marks. Embrace the fact that we can stretch to the sky, walk the beach for miles, travel across the country 8,000 miles from home and tell stories, even though there our face is still a little bit more shocking than it is at home. Something we can tell because eyes linger longer there. Questions are asked more pointedly than they are here. We can answer questions that aren't whispered and try to help people understand what it's like for a little girl to go under repeatedly, to be wheeled into operating rooms with her mom and dad just beyond the big green doors, where even though the kind reconstructive surgeon played classical music and sang to us while we went to sleep, it was still a lot like dying every time. We can still get out there every day and look people in the eye, or try to. We can smile, even if it's a little crooked, and use our mouth that's still so big, even though it's long since been sewn together, to speak the truth, and more frequently than ever these days, to defend principles and other people along with our own fragile selves. And if my face and I can never fully embrace this blip on the genetic screen that caused this problem, we can hold people in our arms like once we push them away with equal force. We can thank the stars for every shallow person a facial scar sent away, just like we can thank them for every minute in the deep end with good people who don't just see the surface. We can know a little better when to talk and when to shut up. We're strong enough now that if anybody says that nonsense about that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger, it's just sort of comical, and we can say we've had enough, that it had better be mostly sunshine and roses from now on. And always, completely on purpose, we will wear fabulous lipstick.